That might be a good question once Mr. Hayter is able to join us.
Okay, thank you.
I'll leave you here until he comes on. And then once you ask your question, then I'll move you back over.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the answer to that is you can, but you do that when it's open to the public.
That's what I was thinking, Dennis. Would be just thinking when we open it up to the public is when you could ask any questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Who are we waiting on? Are we waiting on Matt?
That is correct.
Well, he's a pretty important person, so. Your water's clear, Andrew, when you drink, like sees through. Yeah, super hot.
Said he's, oh, sorry. Matt said he's trying to connect. He's having some difficulties.
You would think Matt would be the master at Zoom now.
Hey, Jonathan, are you guys working back in the office yet, or are you still remote?
No, we're pretty much in the offices. I mean, our construction sites have to continue on, so we're doing some rotating schedules though for some of our salaried staff. So our office isn't as busy. Craft, we're trying to stagger a little bit as well and doing temperature checks as they come in, but we're not really getting the reprieve on any type of deliverables or anything. So we're kind of onward and upward.
The banks aren't too happy about it.
No, yeah, it's definitely a lot of new protocols and stuff that we're putting in place. Hey, Matt.
Hi there. My apologies. I've been having some tough technical difficulty on this end. Can you hear me?
I thought you would be the master at Zoom by now.
You know, they just gave me a license.
So you're official, huh?
Now I'm official.
Right on. Are we ready to start?
Yeah, the only thing yes, I am. My apologies.
Mr. Douglas, did you want to ask your question real quick before we get started?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Hayter.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, hey, I had a question. I was telling the group there, I've been on a lot of boards and commissions, and as an alternate, I was able to ask questions as the meeting proceeded. But what are the what's the protocol here in this,
Oh,
on this
oh.
board?
Only the seated members for this evening's meeting will be permitted to ask questions.
Okay, and what about when it's open to the public?
Anybody can ask questions at that time. Yeah, I mean, we have standards for and policies for electronic meetings. So as long as people have registered for, or, to ask a question, then we'll go through that. Tricia, I don't know if you're calling that or if Alexa or somebody else is going through that list. But those people that pre-registered or signed up will be allowed to ask questions during a public hearing.
Okay.
Is that the same for myself? Should I had signed up beforehand?
Yes, sir.
I would say that you did sign up because you're here.
Mhm.
But we have to move you over to an attendee. So I
No
think
problem.
that's
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are we ready to roll?
Tricia, can you resend me the agenda? Never mind.
Did you find it or
Yeah, I'm good.
send it to you, Matt? We will call the Planning Commission meeting to order. Alexa, can you please perform a roll call?
Yes. Chairman Popiel,
Present?
Vice Chairman Amador,
Present.
Commissioner Kamak,
Present?
Commissioner Ingram,
Present.
Commissioner Yost.
To unmute, David. You're still muted.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Welcome to the commissioners. Would also like to introduce members of staff present with us today. We have Jason Rogers, Community Development Director, Steve Timms, Planning Manager, Jenny Axmacher, Principal Planner, Matt Hayter, Deputy City Attorney, Tricia Mason, Community Development Manager, Alexa Ullum, Administrative Specialist. Thank you also for joining us today. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Alexa, can you please call for a vote for the approval of the minutes?
Yes. Commissioner Yost,
I wasn't an attendee at the last, I was an attendee at the last commissioners meeting. So don't think I can vote on it.
okay, thank you. Commissioner Ingram,
Yes.
Commissioner Kamak,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Amador,
Yes.
and Chairman Popiel.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
motion has passed, 4 yeses and 1 abstaining for the motion to the approval minutes. Will the city please introduce the first case?
Sure. The first case this evening is case number 20-469. DIA Tech Center LLC is requesting a third amendment to the DIA Tech Center Planned Unit Development PUD zone document to allow the deviation of setback and floor area ratio standards to be considered through the minor modification process. The DIA Tech Center PUD zone document generally applies to the properties located south of East 84th Avenue, west of Tower Road, north of East 81st Avenue, and east of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge. Presenting the case this evening on behalf of the city, I believe that is, I think Mr. Timms is, no, this is Ms. Oxmacher's case.
Good
My
evening.
apologies.
No worries. Ms. Mason, if you'll allow me to share my screen, I will start the presentation. All right. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of Planning Commission. The case before you is Z896. It is a third amendment to the DIA Tech Center PUD zone document, which is generally located the property on the south of East 84th Avenue, west of Tower Road, north of East 81st Avenue, and east of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge. Next slide, please. You can see the property is located to the west of Tower Road and to the north of USA Airport parking in unincorporated Adams County, and to the west of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge. Most of the surrounding area is zoned PUD. There's the Nexus North PUD to the north and west, the Second Creek Farms PUD to the north, and the Republic Waste Services PUD to the north and east. Next slide, please. The comprehensive plan designates a majority of this property for DIA technology uses with commercial uses along Tower Road. Next slide, please. You can take a look at the aerial of the site. You can see some of it is currently developed. We have the McLean Distribution Warehouse Center in the southwest corner of the development next to the USA Airport parking. We have a distribution facility to the north of it. We have a 7-Eleven on the corner of 81st Avenue and Tower Road. And then we have an airport parking facility just to the west of it. Next slide, please. So the case history for the DIATC Center PUD development, it was annexed and zoned back in 2011. There was a vesting case in 2012, and then additional property was added to the PUD in 2016 and 2017. Next slide, please. The request tonight is to amend the PUD zone document to allow for the deviation of setback and floor area ratio standards to be considered through the minor modification process. Next slide, please. So as part of this request, there are only minor updates to sheet 1 of the PUD zone document just for updated signatures. There are no changes to sheets 2 and 3. There is a note referencing the ability to vary FAR on sheet 4. There are no changes proposed to sheet 5, which is the land use schedule. And then on sheet 6, the majority of the amendment occurs in the added note 15. Next slide, please. So what does note 15 on sheet 6 say? It says that the community development director may approve deviations to the setback and floor area ratio requirements within this PUD zone document. The minor modification must come along with a PUD development permit. It cannot be submitted absent of this document, showing the site plan, landscape plan, and building elevations for proposed development. And a minor modification is not permitted unless one of the following benefits to enhance the development also exist. Next slide, please. So these proposed enhancements, there's 3 different options. You can include the installation of an employee amenity area, such as a gazebo that has a minimum square footage associated. You can enhance the landscaping, providing additional living plant material coverage or additional landscaped area. You can also add public art as part of that enhancement. And then you can use building materials that are above and beyond what is generally required with the design standards within this PUD zone district, and include additional massing or glazing within the development. So these are the additional compensatory benefits that are required as part of this consideration of a minor modification. Next slide, please. So here's a concrete example of one of the projects that would benefit from this proposed PUD amendment. This is a development plan, PUD permit that's been submitted for DIATC Center Filing 8, Lot 1. It is currently under administrative review. It does not meet the minimum front setback required within the PUD zone document, which is 75 feet. I believe they're currently at about 166 feet for the maximum setback. So this project is, I can't tell you the name of it, but it's a Fortune 500 upper echelon company that's looking to develop within Commerce City. And so without this potential amendment, this project would probably go away. Part of the reason that they cannot meet the required setback is they have a trucking use that requires a very programmed and thoughtful layout for the truck transportation to not commingle with the employee cars and to access all the loading docks within the proposed development. And it can't be altered to meet that current setback requirement. So as part of this PUD amendment, the community development director would be able to consider a minor modification to this maximum front setback greater than the 20% minor modification that's currently allowed in the code to potentially find this proposed development in compliance with that. So next slide, please. So it's important to note this proposed amendment doesn't change any of the approved uses. It doesn't change any of the design standards for the project. The minor modification still requires the approval of the community development director, and approval of a minor modification is not guaranteed. Next slide, please. The required public notification for this case was met. We mailed postcards to adjacent property owners. The notice was published in the Denver Post and 3 signs were posted on the site. Next slide, please. As of this date, staff has received no requests for additional information. Next slide, please. The DRT recommends that the Planning Commission vote to forward this request to City Council with a favorable recommendation. Next slide, please. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. I will also, the applicant is available to answer any questions as well. They are not providing a presentation, slide presentation tonight, but they would like to speak to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Questions from the commissioners for the city?
I have a quick question, Jenny. Do you know how many jobs are involved once this project has been completed and it's fully employed?
I believe that specific project has between 300 and 400 jobs.
Thank you.
Other questions for staff? Would the applicant please like to speak?
Tricia, if you can please let Paul Thurston speak.
Is he online, Tricia?
Sorry, I
Yes.
think I was on mute. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi,
Thank
my name is Paul Thurston. I'm with Becknell Industrial. I don't have much of a presentation other than what Jenny was able to put together, but I wanted to be present and answer any questions you may have about this project or our desire to amend the PUD.
Questions for the applicant from the commissioners?
As of now, are there any, I mean, it looks like we've got old distribution in there. Are there any plans for other types of businesses or commercial or is what we have pretty much industrial?
I wouldn't really classify this so much as, I think technically it's distribution, but there's quite a bit of robots and quite a few employees involved in this. So I think it's, you know, you could argue it's even, I mean, it's a pretty unique building with pretty unique use, but I would not categorize it as like a pure distribution building. I will say that to the north of this building were approved and under plans. Plans are being designed for a 330,000 square foot speculative building that could be manufacturing, it could be warehousing, it could be distribution. And then another, Matt, what's the other square footage of the second spec building? Can you release Matt Garver to speak? Is he available? So
He'll be joining in just a moment.
the answer is around 170,000. So 330 and 170 are the two speculative buildings that we're building just north of this. And again, it could be manufacturing. It really comes down to which user.
Is there any retail, any plans for retail?
No, we're strictly industrial developers.
If I may, Commissioner Yost, this PUD does encompass land that does, I would say, envision retail or commercially supportive land uses as well.
Okay.
To the east and to the north of the site, which is not owned by the applicant hand Becknell, but the zoning is much more broader and encompassing of other land uses.
I believe we also have Mike DeGrant, an applicant for that developer, available to answer questions as well, if Tricia can bring him over.
Yeah, Mike could speak a little more eloquently about the other land uses in the park.
Do you have me online?
Yep, we got you there.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So good evening, commissioners. Thank you for your time tonight. I am Mike DeGrant, Vice President of Shep Communities, the master developer for DIA Tech Center and Nexus North. And the DIA Tech Center, to answer your question on retail uses, we do own ground that is within filing 2 and filing 3 of the PUD along Tower Road that is designated retail and commercial use. So retail space, hotel use right there between 81st and 83rd Avenue.
Okay. Any further questions for the applicant?
Thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you all for jumping on, Paul and Mike.
Sure.
Bet.
Would now like to turn it over to comments from the public. Tricia, did anyone register to ask a question today?
No.
Okay. We will not have any comments. We will close the public comment portion of it. Were there any written comments received?
There were no written comments received.
Okay. We will now close the public hearing portion of the meeting. Further comments? Is there a motion from the commissioners on the case?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. I move the planning commission enter a finding that the requested PUD zone document amendment for the property located at south of East 84th Avenue, west of Tower Road, north of East 81st Avenue, and east of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal Nation Wildlife Refuge, contained in case Z 896-11-12-16-17-21, meets the criteria of the Land Development Code, and based upon such findings, recommend that the City Council approve the PUD zone document amendment.
Is there a second?
I second.
Chairman Popiel, I'm sorry to interrupt. You did have Mr. Douglas raised his hand. I think we went over that in the beginning, but I just want to acknowledge his hand is raised.
So if we've already closed the public comment, we have the discretion of opening it again, or can we move on?
Well, at this time, you've had a motion, you've not had a second. If you want to vote to reopen the hearing, you can do that. We don't have a second yet, so you could probably have a quick motion to do that at this time.
I move that we reopen the public hearing, Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We call for a vote to reopen the public hearing.
I apologize. Commissioner Yost,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingram,
Yes.
Commissioner Kamak,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Amador,
Yes.
and Chairman Popiel.
Yes. Okay, we will now open the motion as passed to reopen the public comment. We will go open it. Would you please allow the person in? Tricia?
Mr. Douglas, you've been unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is Commissioner Steve Douglas as an alternate. I had a question about this on the docket today. Will this be moved over to City Council next week, or would it be in December?
No,
I'll
sir,
take
this,
that.
This-
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Exmaker.
this case will be heard at City Council tonight. It was advertised and posted for the meeting this evening.
Okay. This is to Mr. Rogers. Now, this property wasn't the one that was discussed last week's council meeting, was it?
I'd just like to remind the chair that the questions are supposed to be directed to the chair, and then the chair has the discretion to
okay.
consult others on
Yes.
that.
All right,
Steve,
sorry.
Mr. Douglas, if you could please, if you can go through your list of questions, then let's see what you have, and then I can go from there.
Okay, sure. Just question is, the building, is it going to be AI, artificial intelligence, as far as like robots? I see there's 7 planned DI technology. Will any of them come to fruition as far as an office building being and tech? Because I'm kind of confused because I see tech and I see a list of how many different pieces that would tie to technology. Let's see. And that's it. That's what I wanted to ask.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Yeah, like I think
Thank
from what we heard from the applicant is that there's probably going to be a series of technologies within the facility that's going to facilitate, their distribution center. So yeah, you would probably say the use of high technologies is going to be, in use with the facility. Mr. Rogers, I know you had kind of deemed the land that is adjacent to it that might have some other uses, if you wanted to address that question.
Thank you, Chairman. Once again, as stated, the DIATC PUD is encompassing of other land uses that are either retail in nature, commercially supportive in nature, such as your hospitality uses, and it obviously offers a much broader range of other office technological uses as well. As it relates to the implementation of those, I would actually direct that question back to the applicant on hand, Mike DeGrant, which I do believe he had also spoken to what is also contemplated in the zoning as well.
Yeah, I think that question was answered, Mr. Rogers and Mr. Douglas. So I think we can move on from there. Any further people registered to speak, Ms. Tricia? Anybody else with their? Okay. We will now close the public comment portion of the meeting and turn it over to the commissioners. Is there a motion for the case?
We already have a motion, I think. We're looking for a second.
I second.
That motion was withdrawn in favor of the last motion to reopen the hearing, so that a new motion will have to be made. Thank you.
You could redo
Oh,
that.
Matthew. Okay. I move that the Planning Commission enter a finding that the requested PUD zone document amendment for the property located south of East 84th Avenue, west of Tower Road, north of East 81st Avenue, and east of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal Nation Wildlife Refuge contained in case C 896-11-12-16-17-21 meets the criteria of the Land Development Code, and based upon such findings, recommend that the City Council approve the PUD zone document amendment.
Second?
I second.
Alexa, can you please call for a vote?
Commissioner Yost,
I vote yes.
Commissioner Ingram,
Yes.
Commissioner Kamak,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Amador,
Yes.
and Chairman Popiel.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion has passed by a vote of 5 yeses, 0 nos. Thank you for presenting the case, and thank you for the commissioners. That there are no other cases tonight, it appears. So we'll move over to some miscellaneous business. Any commission business that we need to discuss from the commissioners tonight? Matt, any legal business that needs to discuss tonight?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any Steve, any staff business? We need
just echo these Thanksgiving wishes for you all since we won't be in person. We do have some cases scheduled for December. So I believe next week on the 1st, we have 4 cases that night. So we'll look forward to seeing you all again then.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
On staff business, maybe I missed it, but do we have just one alternate now, or do we have more alternates, or was that announced for staff?
So yeah, so we Warren retired, and then Karen also ended up moving out of the city. So there was a council promoted our two alternates, Ingram and Yost, to regular positions. And then they also then appointed Commissioner Douglas to be the alternate. So we have one alternate position still available. So if you all know anyone, they're certainly welcome to apply for that second alternate position.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations to Commissioner Ingram and Commissioner Yost on that promotion. So welcome full-time to the team. With nothing else to discuss, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Right. 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 Right.